This is what political power looks like. On yesterday, the House passed a bill to expand the definition of anti-Semitism amid what's going on college campuses all across the country. The proposed bill, which passed 320 to 91 with bipartisan support, would codify the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's definition of anti-Semitism in Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, a federal anti-discrimination law that bars discrimination based on shared ancestry, ethnic characteristics, or national origin. The bill now goes on to the Senate, where it's uncertain if it'll pass the Senate. I guarantee you, people from the ADL like Jonathan Greenblatt and AIPAC, in the best interest of Israel, met with congressmen and women of the House on yesterday, and they negotiated, and they came up with that bill, and they passed it in the House. It is now on its way to the Senate. This is what political power looks like. This is the type of political power that black people don't have. You know why? Because black people don't vote regularly. It's not just about the dollars. It's not just about the dollars. It's black people as a collective using their voting power, not just for presidential elections, but elections in the midterm, all elections. And we don't do that. We don't show up regularly, and we don't show up consistently. That makes our political power sporadic. That's why it is so hard for us to get things passed in the House and in the Senate. I'm not saying that money doesn't play a big role. I am not saying that at all, because we know that the ADL and AIPAC have huge budgets backing them. We know that they are paying our congressmen and women to pass laws and bills that benefit them. We know that because we can look up our congressmen and women's donations to see who donated what and how much. Because we aren't rolling like that financially, the next best thing for us is to use our voting power, and we don't. We don't. Here's the definition of anti-Semitism that bill is referring to. Anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals, and or their property toward Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. I've done a video talking about how many of us are recognizing that basically critiquing Jewish institutions, the Israeli government, Jewish people in general, that equates to anti-Semitism these days. Anything you say that is negative, it is considered anti-Semitism. And in that video, I went down the list and provided examples of what anti-Semitism is now considered. This article that this bill is referring to also provided examples. Here they are. Here's page 1. Here's page 2. Here's page 3. And here's page 4. Like I said, the bill has gone on to the Senate. We don't know what the Senate is going to do. If the Senate signs off on it and passes it, it will then go to the president's desk. Let me tell you, in my opinion, this is not going to make things better. This will make things worse. In my opinion, this bill is being used to silence individuals who are fairly critiquing the Israeli government. And this bill is doing nothing more than trying to silence those critiques, which in my opinion tampers on an individual's First Amendment rights. And that will only lead to more violence. That's my opinion. Now, I know a lot of my black people are going to come over and say everybody gets some type of protection bill, but what about black people? What happened to the George Floyd Policing Act? Here's what happened to the George Floyd Policing Act. H.R. 1280 is the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2021. It was introduced by Representative Karen Bass. Okay, you can go over to congress.gov and look this bill up yourself. The bill was introduced, it went through all of the rigmarole, and the House passed the bill. They signed off on the bill, they passed the bill. It then went on to the Senate. And you see that first line down there that says March 9th, 2021, Chamber, Senate, actions received in the Senate. Nothing happened after it was received in the Senate. There was some negotiations that took place. Negotiations took place between the Democrats and the Republicans. Tim Scott represented the Republicans. Cory Booker represented the Democrats. Tim Scott and the Republicans pretty much deaded the bill. And so it still sits in the Senate. Why was the bill deaded? Because Tim Scott is crawling up Lindsey Graham's ass and Donald Trump's ass. Here's what Donald Trump thought about the bill. Then President Donald Trump opposed the bill. He issued a formal pledge to veto the legislation if it passed Congress, and contending that the bill is overbroad and would weaken the ability of law enforcement agencies to reduce crime. Trump specifically opposed proposal to restrict qualified immunity. So the Republicans fell in line, led by Tim Scott. They killed the bill. And now Donald Trump is running for president, and one of his promises is to indemnify the police.
Crazy. We will, very importantly, restore law and order to our country, and I'm going to indemnify all police officers and law enforcement officials throughout the United States to protect them from being destroyed by the radical left for taking strong actions on crime.
Donald Trump becoming president of the United States and indemnifying the police scares me. It puts me in the thinking of the slave patrol, the 1800 slave patrol. We have political power. We just don't use it. We have got to recognize our political power and use it. We certainly have to stop Donald Trump from getting back in the White House, but we have 435 seats up for grabs in the House and the Senate. We have to vote these monsters out. That's how we start to get our political power.